Hey everybody, transitions. So if you've never done a triathlon, transitions probably are one of the more scary, unknown parts. How do you go about setting it up? What do you do when you get there? It's definitely a lot of things to work through. So I'm going to give you an overview. This is a sample of how the Lava Man Triathlon transition is set up. But it's pretty indicative of most transitions. They all have a lot of things in common that we're going to go over. First off, let's talk about clothing. Most triathlons and transitions do not have a changing tent, so no nudity. Ironman races make you go through the changing tent typically, so you can change, or you don't even have to, but you still have to go through the tent. But with most triathlons, Olympic distance, most half Ironmans, sprint distance for sure, no changing tent. So what do you wear? Well, you want to wear some triathlon shorts. Triathlon shorts are similar to bike shorts, but with much less pad so that you can swim in them. You have some padding for biking, but it's not too much padding that it interferes with your run as a bike short might. So it's sort of the best comfort. I personally, when I'm doing an Ironman, I'll put on bike shorts. Anything half Ironman and shorter, I'll wear tri shorts for the swim, the bike, and the run. And then if the race is cold enough and you're wearing a wetsuit, you definitely want to wear your wetsuit over your tri-top and your tri-shorts, or a one-piece tri-suit. You want to wear the wetsuit over that. If it's a warm water race, you may be wearing a swim skin, which is not quite a wetsuit, but it does give you some cuts down on drag through the water, so it makes it a little bit quicker. If it's your first race and the water's warm enough, then you probably just want to wear your tri-top and your tri-shorts for the swim, then get out and you hop on the bike. Now, if it's, like I live in Seattle, and so oftentimes the early in season races, it may be 50 degrees outside. And so just as I wouldn't on a training ride go for a training ride just in a tank top and shorts, if it's 50 degrees out or raining, I'm going to throw on a bike jacket or a warmer top so that I can stay warm, right? You don't want to get extra cold while you're biking because you get that wind chill. So, you have to think about what are the race conditions as to what your clothing needs are. Obviously, if you're doing a race, say like a Lava Man Triathlon that's in Hawaii, it's nice and warm. And so just, your tri-shorts and your tri-top, and you'll be comfortable the whole time, even when you're wet. Okay, so keep that in mind. One of the first things that you want to do when you get to your triathlon is do a pre-race walkthrough. And you want to have an idea of how the transition is laid out. Every transition is going to have a swim in, that's where you come in from the swim. It's going to have a bike out, that's where you take your bike out. It's also going to have a bike in. Not always, but commonly the bike out and the in are in the same place, but not always. And then you want to find where you exit for the run out. And a lot of times the bigger races, they'll have big arched blow up banners that clearly spell out where that is. But if it's your first race, get there maybe an hour and a half early so you have a little extra time. I typically get there an hour earlier to a race myself. But when you first thing you're going to go in is you're going to find where your bike is. So some races, if they're really grassroots and small enough, it might just be a completely open transition and you park your bike at the first place that's available to you or wherever you want. More commonly, they're numbered. Like this rack will be numbers 1 through 100, 101 through 200. And so you take your race number and you find your rack. So let's say you walk in and you find that your bike spot is right here, okay? So now what you want to do is you can put your bike there, put your bag there to save it. You can start setting up if you want, but what I would recommend is to actually leave the transition and go to where the swim exits. So this is the water here. And again, for the Lava Man folks, I sort of set this up as the Lava Man Triathlon. So this is the ocean here. You exit here, you run along the beach, and then you run up a sidewalk. We have a little bit of carpet here. There's a road here. So this red arrow here, this is going to be your swim in. So this is where you come in from the swim. So again, at the beginning of the morning, I want to walk out here and I want to identify where I'm coming in on the swim. And then I want to figure out where my bike is. And what I do is I count the racks in the morning before the race. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. left turn about a third of the way down, and there's my bike. I want to identify that and put that number in my head so that when I'm coming out of the swim in the race and I come in here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, left turn, boom, then I find my bike. Now, I also want to identify where the bike out is. So here's my bike here. Because it's here, I'm going to go this way, and then I'm going to go to the bike out. So I'll physically walk out of the bike out, get my bearings, turn around and find where the bike in is, and if it's the same spot, I'll just turn around and come back in. And same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This time I'm going to be making a right turn, and I know it's 2/3 of the way down here, okay? And then from there, I want to identify where the run out is. So now I'm going to go this way because it's quickest for the run out, which is this blue line. In Lava Man, you come back here, and then you head out into a little bit of lava field, but it's pretty smooth through there. Now, on some races, you may have the swim in here, and you may have the bike out there, but possibly the bike in could come in back here, and the run out could be back here. You never know, and that's why when you get to the race, you want to identify where things are. Where is the swim in? Where is the bike out? Where's the bike in? Where's the run out? You want to know those things in advance. You don't want to wait till the race and start screaming at volunteers to help you figure out. You'll waste a lot of time and you get really frustrated, okay? You also want to identify where the mount-dismount line is. So when you're leaving the transition, the mount-dismount line means that it's a penalty if you get on your bike before this line. So you need to take your bike across that line before you mount your bike. Same thing coming back in on the dismount line. You need to get off of your bike before that line. If you get off your bike right here, then that's going to be a penalty. Okay? Also, anytime you are running with your bike into the transition or out of the transition, your chin strap on your helmet needs to be buckled. So make sure that's buckled. Okay, that's a penalty as well. Okay, so that's how you identify the transition in the morning and what, how to navigate it. Then when you're setting up your transition, you want to make it as clean as possible. So the less stuff you have, the better. You don't want a whole bunch of stuff mucking it up, and you want a nice tidy transition. So what a lot of people will do is they will use a transition towel. So got some props here. So for a transition towel, think about something that's not too big. So that's like a hand towel. And what you're going to do is just going to put the hand towel on the ground, and now this allows you it's like demarking your space, right? And so your shoes would go there. Let me just draw, I'll erase this, and let's pretend that this is the bar or where the bike is, and my bike, this will be my seat, and my bike is this way with my handlebars this way and my wheel, okay? So, and then there's gonna be another bike here, basically. And so either the left or the right, some races designate it, otherwise it just sorts itself out. But this area right here, between bikes, that's my dressing room. So I'm gonna put my towel down, and then what I'm gonna do is, so this is my towel. Okay, it's not too big. I'm gonna put my biking shoes here, because I'm gonna put those on first. I'm going to put my running shoes at the back of the towel because I'm going to put those when I come back in off the bike. Here I'm also going to put my hat and my race belt, any food, anything that I'm taking with me on the run, I'm going to put there. Over my bike shoes, or maybe on my bike, I'm going to lay my helmet out, and I might put sunglasses in there, and I might put food in there. And so this all creates an order. Now when I get to my changing space, I have my helmet there, so I'm going to take and put my helmet on. If I have anything in my helmet like sunglasses or food, I'm going to take those out, put those on, put the food in my jersey. For a faster transition, anything that can already be on your bike, like if you can put your food on your bike and then you don't have to mess with it in transition, that's going to be easier and faster. But if I have something in my helmet, I'll take it out, then I'll put my helmet on, and then I'll put my shoes on. So you want to practice in advance. You want to set up in advance, and you want to create your order. Now when I come back off the bike, basically, when I take my helmet and my shoes off, I'm probably going to toss it back here to get it out of the way, and then I'm going to swap to running shoes, and then I'm going to grab my hat and my race belt, and I'm going to start running and put all that on, okay? So what you take with you on the run is up to you. For a race belt, if you don't know what a race belt is, I would highly recommend getting one, mainly because it means you don't have to pin the race number to your chest, your shirt, which then means you don't have to swim with it or bike with it. So you put it through these little tabs here. I got this nice race belt from Blue 70. So you put your number on here, and then it's got a buckle. So when you're running, you just put it around your waist and then clip it, and then off you go. And that way you can turn it around. You can have the race number in front of you when you're running. Okay, so that's a race belt. Another thing that you definitely should have, whether they are cord locks, which are these little guys here, and they just slide down. So this way you don't have to fiddle with tying your shoes. A lot of times people think, well, it's not going to take me much time to tie my shoes and I'm not worried about speed. But do, say, 10 burpees and then try to tie your shoes. You'll see all the adrenaline rushing through you, and it actually takes a lot more time than you think. So simple cord locks or elastic laces. A lot of people like elastic laces. And then let me just give you a little helmet setup here. So one of the things that you'll see quite often in a triathlon is people will just put their helmet down by the bike. The helmet straps will be in there. Everything will be kind of disorganized. Maybe they have socks in there or something. And they go to put it on, everything's a mess. So if, for example, you're going to, when you put your helmet on, what I always do is, but when I'm setting up my transition, I literally put the helmet on and then I take it off and I set it down. Now you'll notice that I also set it down with the back of the helmet away from me, and I make sure to have the buckle straps nice and open. So that way all I do is I grab the helmet and I put it on and I buckle. It's one smooth motion. What you don't want is you don't want the front of the helmet away from you. The straps all in here, so you're grabbing the helmet and then you're putting it on backwards, or you're bumbling in with it like that. So make everything in your transition really simple. So that's a simple way to lay that out. Now for me, because this also protects your sunglasses, I'll put my sunglasses in there so nobody steps on them. And again, I want to open those up so that I just grab them and put them on. I don't want them folded up in there or in a case or anything. So as much as possible, have everything ready to go. And then if I were going to put food in my jersey pocket, I might put that in my helmet and then throw it in my jersey pocket when I get out of the swim. So that's all just preference there as far as the food goes. Myself, when I get to the transition area, what I like to do is I like to put my bike in its rack, put my bag down, and then I usually go use the porta potties. I have to go to the bathroom. The lines tend to get longer as the race goes on. So again, I get there about an hour before the race, put my bike out, go to the bathroom, come back, set up my transition. Again, go through walking where all this swim in, bike out, bike in, run out, where all that's out. And then if I have some extra time, I'll go for a warm-up run. So I'll throw my running shoes on, and I'll just do a little warm-up run, kind of get rid of some of the nerves that I have. Come back, check my bike one last time, check the tires, make sure there's no flat tire or anything. Check the setup, make sure everything's good. You also want to make sure that your bike is in an easy gear to start off with. Sometimes people are warming up or riding to the race, and they're in a hard gear, and then they go to start, maybe it's uphill, and they drop their chain, or they have a hard time starting. So make sure you're in an easy gear to start with, okay? I think those are the majority of my tips. If you have any comments or questions, things that maybe I didn't cover, just leave them in the comments and then I can address those. So that's transitions. Thanks a lot.